CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. In the assessment of criminality, the basic criterion, of course, must be volume. After all, Attila the Hun was a greater transgressor than, say, Jack the Ripper. Therefore, what does history tell us? We see that for those who kill more or less at retail, we have our local police. For those who murder at wholesale, the Attilas, the Hitlers, and the like, we must have our philosophers, men who will inspire us to stand up and fight. And such a fighting philosopher was Thomas Jefferson.
Now, Mr. Jefferson, there's no need getting excited.
Sheriff, they're going out there to commit cold-blooded murder.
Well, that can't be proved.
They intend to kill him.
But there's nothing I can do about it.
You swore to uphold the law.
Well, no, exactly. What I swore was to uphold the law to the best of my ability. And this just happens to be the very best I can do.
Well, someone has to stop them.
I don't have the authority to keep men from riding through the woods.
Even if their purpose is to kill an innocent man?
But I don't know that.
I do. And if you won't stop them, I will.
Now, Mr. Jefferson, it could be dangerous.
Somebody has to enforce the law, Sheriff. And it looks as if it'll have to be me. Me alone. All by myself.
Our mystery drama, The Thomas Jefferson Defense, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dann and stars Paul Hecht. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Buick's 1976 Century Regal is the most luxurious mid-size car Buick builds. But it's also got a practical side. In fact, it makes a concession to practicality that no other American mid-size car does. It comes with a V6 engine, and a Buick V6 at that. Regal, it's got the spirit. That's how it's gonna be.
Shall overcome. We shall overcome. America has so much to overcome. Hard, concrete problems that only knowledge can resolve. Will you help us overcome them by giving to America at the very source of her future? Give to the college of your choice now.
A public service message of this station and the Advertising Council.
For hundreds of years, alcoholic men and women have been scolded, denounced, beaten, lashed, pilloried, dunked, jailed, and, of course, threatened with eternal damnation. There is no evidence that any of these treatments ever resulted in a single cure. Why not? Simply because alcoholism is not a crime. It is not a moral weakness. It is an illness that can be treated successfully. What's more, alcoholism can often be prevented before it develops if we learn to recognize the early signs of drinking problems. After all these years, there ought to be better ways to treat alcoholism than punishing the alcoholic person. And of course there are. For information or help, write Box 2345, Rockville, Maryland.
This message is a public service by this station and the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism.
The year 1775. The fuse of defiance has already been lighted. It is now hissing and sputtering inexorably toward the powder keg of rebellion. Thomas Jefferson has just returned from the Virginia Constitutional Convention, held at St. John's Church in Richmond, where he has heard the impassioned demand of Patrick Henry, "Give me liberty or give me death." The speech has touched his heart and inflamed his soul. And yet, he has feelings of uneasiness and guilt. All around him, he hears outcries for freedom, justice, equality, and yet he knows that these fervent demands are not being made for everybody. There are those human beings who will have neither equality nor equity in the brave new world that is soon to be born. As a matter of fact, because of their skin color, they are not considered to be human beings at all.
Good evening, Carter.
Good evening, Mr. Jefferson.
Oh, Mr. Jefferson, is it? Whatever became of Tom?
Oh, well, sir.
Oh, is it sir now? This becomes worse.
Well, sir, we're going to have us a new government, ain't we?
We most likely will, if we're not all hanged first.
Now, the way I hear it, we got to get rid of old King George, true?
True.
Well, then we've got to get us a new king.
Why, Carter?
Why are you going to have a country without a king? Who are the people going to obey?
We shall create an equal society.
Oh, it'll never work.
I think you have the wrong idea.
The king will have to be a Virginian.
Why?
Why? Well, there ain't nobody even worth talking about south of here. Go north. Pennsylvania's all pig farmers. New York's all potato farmers. And I wouldn't trust nobody lives in New England.
Carter, the entire idea is to get rid of King.
You know, you could be king because you're the smartest. And then we got Mr. Patrick Henry, who's got a powerful mouth. Colonel Washington looks like a king. Ooh.
Yeah? Carter, what's wrong? Why are you so pale? Are you ill?
Good evening, Mr. Jefferson.
Oh, welcome, Louisa. Your mother sent word you mightn't come.
Well, I was feeling poorly, but Jeremy Morgan here just happened by and cheered me up. Hasn't he got the nicest smile? I tell you, it's the finest medicine. Mr. Jefferson, may I present Mr. Jeremy Morgan?
Your servant, sir.
Welcome, Mr. Morgan.
And old Scowl Face here, Carter McAllister.
You said you'd come here with me tonight, Louisa.
Did I?
You promised.
What's a promise? It's only something you make when you won't give your word of honor.
I won't have it.
What won't you have,
I won't have you seen around with every common Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Tread lightly, sir. I caution you.
Who are you to caution
And
me?
now, gentlemen, you're both under my roof, and I will not permit things to get out of hand.
Louisa, I'm taking you home.
You just let go of my arm, Carter McAllister.
I believe you heard what the lady said.
You say one more word, and I shall horsewhip you.
Like you horsewhip your slaves?
You impertinent ruffian.
Gentlemen, stop right here, or I may have to thrash the both of you.
Mr. McAllister, you will give me satisfaction.
Satisfaction? You overstep your bounds. Satisfaction is something that only can be exchanged among gentlemen.
And do you pretend to be a gentleman, Mr. McAllister? Your father's a thief who cheats his tenants. How dare you look down on me? My father traces his lineage back to King Henry II.
And your mother, no doubt, traces hers back to Pocahontas.
Why, you're...
That's enough. Mr. Morgan, stop that. Now, don't strike him again.
I'm sorry, sir. I should not have lost my temper.
I'll kill you. I'll kill
Shut
you.
up, Carter. Now, you begged for it.
I'll kill you. I am going to kill you, Jeremy Morgan.
Nobody's going to kill anybody. Walter, Fred, help him to the sofa. Get some cloths. Get some vinegar.
Jeremy Morgan, I shall shoot you down like the mongrel dog you are.
Oh, do be quiet, both of you. Mr. Jefferson, may I retire to your sitting room?
Mr. Jefferson, I'm sorry. I had no right to abuse your hospitality. Therefore, if you'll excuse me...
Mr. Morgan. Jeremy, wait. Now, son, there's no need for you to run off.
I know I'm not welcome.
Oh, that's nonsense. This is my house.
I should never have come.
How can you say that? You're Lord Arthur Morgan's son. Your father was a dear friend of mine.
Was my mother? You see, sir, I forgot my place.
Jeremy, your place in this world is whatever you can win through strength and skill and courage. Every man has the opportunity to prove himself. Every man is free to strive.
You really don't believe that?
I do.
How can you? You own slaves. I'm sorry. I had no right to say that.
It's a difficult, complicated world.
I agree, sir. Especially for me.
You may be somewhat oversensitive. After all, Louisa Henderson did seem quite taken with you.
No. I saw what all that meant the moment we entered the room. I was just an instrument.
An instrument?
With which she could provoke Carter McAllister.
Oh, you're very young and very cynical.
And very right, Mr. Jefferson.
Jeremy, I would like to be your friend.
There's no need to consider my feelings.
I mean that, Jeremy, sincerely. Look at yourself. You've barely grown out of your childhood, and already you've abandoned your hopes.
It would be best if children like me would never be born. The consolation is, we die young.
Oh, now, come on. Come on back in with me, and we shall have some wine.
Usually we die by violence.
I offer you my hand in friendship.
I'm grateful. But there will be violence.
Come back inside. You and Carter McAllister will shake hands.
No.
You, Jeremy, are also to blame. You insulted him, too. Both of you must forgive each other.
That cannot happen.
Now, why do you say that? Aren't you willing to forgive him?
Yes. I am willing to forgive him for his insult. But he will be unable to forgive me for my mother.
Oh, I cannot believe that men of goodwill cannot reconcile their quarrels. Will you let me mediate between you?
If it pleases you, Mr. Jefferson. However, I have decided to leave this part of the country.
But why?
Carter is determined to kill me. I have no wish to kill him first, therefore I must go.
But where will you go?
Back to my own people.
Come in.
Louisa?
Now, Mr. Jefferson, I can tell from that look on your face you're about to scold me.
I'm afraid I must.
Well, suppose I say, whatever it is I did, I'm sorry.
Well, I don't think it was right of you to come here with Jeremy Morgan just so that you could make Carter angry.
Oh, did you see Carter's face?
Louisa, this is a serious business. One of those boys could very well kill the other.
Oh, Carter talks big. He's not the killing kind.
Any man can become a killer where a woman's involved.
You mean somebody would kill for me?
Oh, Louisa, if only you had a heart and a mind and a conscience to go with all that beauty.
Do you want to know the awful truth? I love them both.
Oh, you can't love them both.
When I want to have someone to have fun with, to ride with, to dance with, I love Carter. When I need someone just to be with, to talk with, I love Jeremy.
Louisa, how can you love Jeremy?
Carter McAllister, you standing there listening to that door. You are not a man of honor.
You belong to me.
I belong to myself.
Louisa, if I can't have you, nobody will.
I'll decide who has me.
Why, that thieving, skulking half-breed.
Carter, I cannot permit you to insult a friend of mine under my roof.
I'll do more than just insult him. I'm gonna kill him.
Welcome, my nephew. Welcome.
I have brought you a gift, Blue Cloud.
Ah, a robe, a rich robe.
It comes from England, across the seas.
It is a robe of great value. Such color.
One may not fully realize the color by firelight. When the sun rises tomorrow, one's eyes will behold a robe of brilliant scarlet.
The color of blood.
You wonder why I come here, Uncle?
I wait for you to speak.
I have come back.
Back?
To my people.
We are not your people, my son.
You are my mother's people.
Are they unkind to you? The other sons of your father?
No. They treat me well. We are brothers.
Then why do you wish to come here?
Because there is no place, no real place for me in their world.
Why do you say this?
The women mock me, the men make sport of me. Only one sees me as a true friend. Tom Jefferson.
Jefferson?
You have called him Red Hair.
Yes, I know him. So you wish to live with your mother's people?
Yes.
Because you are afraid.
I want peace.
There is no peace. There can be no peace for your mother's people.
There is no peace for me in my father's village.
You must go back.
Why?
Soon we shall be driven from here. They want to turn our woods into fields to raise their tobacco. Your mother's people shall be destroyed.
No.
You can lose yourself in the forest and live out your life in peace and safety. But there shall only be misery for your children and death for your children's children.
What is there that I must do?
Your father's voice was strong in the councils for our people. Your voice must be heard there, too. You must make them listen.
Why would they listen to me? By some, I am called a half-breed.
You are strong, young, wise. You were born to make a new understanding between people. It is your destiny.
If I go back, I will surely die.
The day, the hour, the moment of your death has already been cast. And it shall find you wherever you are.
Yes, Blue Cloud, I see now. I must go back.
Hold on.
Well, it's Carter.
Yeah, Carter. And don't take one more step or I'll put a bullet in you.
Well, you've got a weapon. I'm unarmed. No wonder I hear such courage in your voice.
Don't provoke me, Jeremy. I came after you to kill you.
Yes?
It was just before sundown. I saw you going into the woods carrying that bright scarlet robe.
It was a gift for my uncle, Blue Cloud. What do you want now, Carter?
Good, I thought. He sees the light. He's going back to his own people. So, I let you go.
Thank you.
But I was wrong. You're coming back to town.
No, you were right. I am going back to my own people.
Your people are back there in the woods.
My people are everywhere.
I don't want to kill you. Go back to the woods. Paint your face. Stick a feather in your hair.
Stand aside. I have business in town.
Go back where you belong. I warn you. I'll kill you.
You're not going to kill anybody.
Stop. Don't make me do it. Stop! I'll shoot! I told you I'd shoot. I told you.
They were very young, very proud, quick to anger. They were barely out of their teens. And now, one of them lies dead, shot in the back by the musket of the other. And it happened on the very eve of the American Revolution. For some of the reasons the revolution came about in the first place. Reasons of pride, uncontrolled passions, and sheer blindness. But the fight that led to this midnight killing began in Tom Jefferson's home. So you can expect to see him again in just a few moments when I shall return with Act 2.
Hi, this is Carol Burnett. Adolf Hitler came to power in 1933 and made life miserable for people in Germany. And that's why the International Rescue Committee, the IRC, was formed. It began by helping refugees from Hitler's Germany and went on to help millions more in World War II. But its work didn't end there because war and oppression didn't end there. You remember the brave Hungarians who stood up to the Russians in 1956? Well, IRC helped many who escaped. And since then, IRC has come to the aid of thousands who have escaped from Cuba, China, East Germany, Russia, or wherever freedom is pretty much of a meaningless word. It also does its work in countries ravaged by war. But IRC needs money for food, clothing, and medical care, to reunite families, to find people jobs, and homes for children without homes. So please, help the people who help. Send your money to this address, International Rescue Committee, Box 16, Times Square Station, New York City, New York, 10036.
I think it was the
first time I can remember really going fishing with my dad. I'm sure I'd been with him before, but the first time I really remember it was wading downstream with him in an extra big pair of wading boots as he felt his way very surely along the stream bed, and I shakily held onto the willows, and we found a spot where my dad lifted his finger to his lips and said, "Shh, we don't want to scare the fish away." And then I remember that fish, the biggest fish I'd ever seen in my life, and it was on the end of my line. And my dad, boy, was he proud. I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Give your children everything. Give them your time. A thought from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons.
Two is company. Three is a crowd. And anytime you have a crowd, look for trouble. When a beautiful girl cannot make up her mind between two handsome young men, something has to give. And in this case, what has been given is the life of Jeremy Morgan. And naturally, the prime suspect is Carter McAllister.
Come in.
You wish to see me, Father?
Shut the door and sit down.
Yes, sir.
I understand Jeremy Morgan has been shot to death.
Oh?
I'll thank you not to play the innocent with me. You know he's been murdered.
Well, how would I know?
Because enough people have told me they heard you swear you would shoot him. Because at any minute the sheriff can knock on my door with a warrant for your arrest.
Well, they can't hang me.
And why not?
Well, because he was only a half-breed.
Unfortunately, his father was the late Lord Morgan. His brothers, Jeff and William, accepted him. He was well-liked.
Father, you have to save me.
Fool, did you have to kill him yourself? With all the riffraff hereabouts, couldn't you have hired a man?
Please, Father, please get me out of it. I don't want to hang.
You should have thought of that all long before.
I never wanted Louisa Henderson. The match was your idea. You're the one who needs her father's money. Yes, I killed him. But you also had a hand in it.
Be quiet. Now tell me. Everything. The truth now.
Well, I waited for him near the woods. And he came along. And he was carrying a red robe. Like Indians like to wear.
A red robe?
Yeah, brilliant scarlet. Well, I thought he intends to go back to his own people. Therefore? Well, I followed him. He headed toward Blue Cloud's village.
Fool! If he had decided to return to the Indians, why did you have to kill him?
But he didn't return. I saw him go into Blue Cloud's tent. I heard him talk.
About what?
I don't know. I don't understand their stupid language, but they were angry with each other.
How do you know?
Well, I think their voices sounded angry. Well, then, I watched him as he came out of the tent. He wasn't going to stay. He was headed back, so I...
Yes, speak up.
Well, I moved ahead of him and stopped a few miles away, and I said to him, I said, go back to your own people. Stay with them, or I'll kill you. And he didn't believe me, and now everybody knows I killed him.
What everybody knows is a lie. But now you listen to me. You are innocent. You did not shoot Jeremy Morgan.
But,
you are a fool. All you can do is get yourself into trouble and then come whimpering to me. You're my son, and I must save you.
Yes, Father.
First off, who saw you heading for the woods?
I passed by Pearson's farm.
Noah Pearson knows me money.
I passed by Louisa Henderson and her mother. She was going out riding.
Very well. You went into the woods.
And then I'll hang.
No, because you didn't shoot Jeremy Morgan.
What?
Now, let me tell you what happened. You wanted to shoot him. You followed him into the woods. You saw him go into Blue Cloud's tent. You heard them fight.
Yeah, but I'm not sure this is what they were actually
Oh, yes,
doing.
you are. Your anger had meanwhile cooled, and you knew deep in your heart that you could never kill another human being. You do know that, don't you?
Yes.
And so you headed back for home. Suddenly you heard a shot. You turned around. The angry blue cloud had followed Jeremy Morgan and put a bullet into his back. When he saw you, he fled. Do you understand me?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, how do you know it was Blue Cloud?
How?
It had to be Blue Cloud. He was wearing that robe, that brilliant scarlet robe.
Father, will they believe me?
It's your word against that of an Indian.
But it's
Tell
not...
the story calmly and look every man in the eye as you say it. And of course, they'll believe you. And that's what happened. It's the Indian Blue Cloud.
Just a minute, Edmund
Now,
McAllister.
Tom, everybody knows how you feel about Indians.
And everybody knows how you feel about him, too, Edmund.
This is surely a crime. That Jeremy Morgan was a fine, upstanding young man. And that skulking savage shot him in the back.
Why?
Why? Who can figure what goes on in the mind of a redskin? It isn't as if they were fully human.
Blue Cloud loved his nephew. He had no reason to shoot him.
My son, Carter, heard the whole thing and saw the whole thing.
Your son Carter stated clearly in front of witnesses that he had every intention of shooting Jeremy Morgan.
Sir, are you calling my boy a liar?
I'm saying it's a matter of his word against Blue Cloud's.
I warn you, Tom Jefferson. You're getting mighty big around here as a politician, but you can't go around insulting people.
You are a bigoted, ignorant man, and that's the truth. You're too old for me to whip, and that son of yours is a product of your upbringing. And you accuse Blue Cloud of murder?
He was seen to do it.
By whom?
By my son, that's by whom.
Why don't you let him speak for himself? Carter, did you actually see Blue Cloud shoot Jeremy Morgan? Well, did you? Would you be willing to place your hand on the Bible and swear in the name of God that you saw Blue Cloud murder Jeremy? Would you?
Of course he would.
I'm asking him. Would you swear, Carter?
Yes. Yes, I would.
All right. Then come with me to the sheriff and swear out a warrant for his arrest.
What arrest? You don't arrest an Indian. He commits a crime. You go out and shoot him.
Hold on, Edmund McAllister.
Oh, you can surely talk, Tom Jefferson. But we have had enough talk. Any of you folk who agree with me, let's go home and get our rifles.
Mr. Jefferson, sir, it's an honor.
Some men are intent on murdering Chief Blue Cloud.
Well, sir, he did kill Jeremy Morgan.
He has been accused of killing Jeremy Morgan.
Well, ain't that the same thing?
Oh, now, Sheriff, you cannot permit murder to take place in this country.
Well, Mr. Jefferson, it ain't murder exactly after all. Blue Cloud's only an Indian.
Any man has a right to be protected by the law.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Now, the McAllisters and all of them, they ain't gonna go out there to kill Blue Cloud.
Well, that's not the way I heard it.
Well, you see, as concerned citizens, they're just gonna bring him back here for trial.
I see. And then he'll be shot while resisting arrest.
Now,
or
Mr.
perhaps
Jefferson,
while trying to escape. Sheriff, you just can't walk into Blue Cloud's village and murder him.
I ain't saying I agree with it, Mr.
Sheriff.
Jefferson. Why not?
Why not? Do you think his young men will stand idly by?
The answer to that question is yes. Now, you see, Mr. Jefferson, he ain't liked. Blue Cloud, that is.
I don't understand.
Well, a young man, they want a fighting chief, which you gotta admit, now, Blue Cloud ain't.
Still, they can't just sit by and watch.
The thing is being arranged, and nobody's gonna be in the village.
I refuse to believe it.
No, so everybody gets what they want. The tribe gets a new chief, one who would want to go to war.
War? What war? They know what happens when they raid our frontier settlements. They know the retribution.
They'll go to war on our side against the British. So that's what they get. The white folks avenge a murder.
Which hasn't been proved.
Proof, Mr. Jefferson, is usually a matter of satisfaction. And all for just the life of one Indian. All in all, it ain't a bad situation.
I've admired you. I've respected you for many years. But I see now you're unfit to be a sheriff.
I'm doing what everybody else is doing. I'm thinking of me first.
You took an oath to uphold the law. I won't see murder committed.
Well, now, what do y'all suggest?
What I've been suggesting. I suggest that
I
you
have a better suggestion. Why don't you ride out there?
Because I'm not the sheriff.
Yes, you are. Yeah. I hereby swear you in as deputy sheriff.
What? What are you doing?
Well, you now have the authority to uphold the law. If you think a crime is about to be committed, it's your duty to prevent it.
I have no experience.
You got plenty of experience, Mr. Jefferson. I watched you grow up. Everybody knows you was meant for higher things. You're going to be an important man in this country. I don't throw everything away for...
For what?
For an Indian.
Sheriff. All right, write down on a piece of paper the fact that I am your duly authorized deputy.
We think in terms of intellect and action. We rarely see both qualities combined in one man. How few are the philosopher warriors in history. And yet, for the most part, the great men of 1776 could think and fight. Well, Thomas Jefferson has thought it over and decided it's worth a battle. Therefore, you should stay exactly where you are, and I shall bring it to you in Act 3 in just a few moments.
In case you've forgotten how much fun driving can be, Buick would like to introduce you to Skylark, a small car that's all Buick, with room, comfort, and an engine that no other compact car in America offers, the incredible Buick V6. Skylark, it's free spirit made practical.
When I leave this world, I want to do one thing.
James Harris's ambition is to leave his children a family home. He's going to do it because he and others in Scott, Arkansas, have started a housing cooperative with a grant from the Campaign for Human Development.
I may not leave them no money, but I can leave them somewhere they can lay their hands. Say this is mine.
The Campaign for Human Development, the United States Catholic Conference.
Say, did you know there's a way to get into Northwest Federal Savings before it's open? Well, the Early Bird knows. When you have savings business to take care of, the Early Bird walk-up service is ready to help you. 6 days a week, the Early Bird is at the Irving Park and Des Plaines Savings Centers from 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning. Come by before work, make deposits, make withdrawals, pick up traveler's checks on your way out of town, or cash your paycheck at your convenience. Northwest Federal wants to make it as easy as possible for you to save. An Early Bird walk-up service is just one of the convenient ways they've done that over the past 50 years. So drop by, early or late, with 63 hours of service a week. Irving Park west of Cicero, in Des Plaines, Norridge, and now Arlington Heights at Algonquin and Gulf Roads. What time? Anytime. It's Northwest Federal Savings Time, 63 hours a week.
It's Northwest Federal Savings Time, 63 hours a week.
This is WBBM Chicago.
The beginning of the year 1775 sees Thomas Jefferson deeply involved in the pursuit of justice in two separate areas. First, the one you all know about, the struggle for independence from Britain. This is the big picture, the historic picture. But second, there is a small picture, indeed, a tiny, almost invisible picture, This is the pursuit of justice, not as an ideal, but as a practical matter for a single human being. Those are always the toughest.
Welcome to my lodge, Red Hair.
Chief Blue Cloud, there is no time for ceremonies. You must leave here at once.
For what reason?
Men are coming to kill you.
Why?
For the murder of your sister's son.
It is well known that he was murdered in a cowardly manner by a young man who insulted him.
Yes, well, that is not the way many people will have it. They accuse you.
He was as a son to me.
Blue, there is no time for the right and wrong of it. Men are coming here to do murder. Run from them.
Am I a coward? I run from no one.
One of our greatest poets has said discretion is the better part of valor.
Where may I run?
Deeper into the forest.
They will pursue.
No one knows this wilderness the way you do.
I will not be a hunted animal for the rest of my days. Besides, it is late. They come.
There he is!
Now hold up there.
Now you stand clear of him, Mr. Jefferson.
All of you. Now turn around and go back to your home.
Now see here. Who are you to order us?
I have here a piece of paper. I am acting in the capacity of the sheriff.
Now, Mr. Jefferson, the Indian's guilty of a murder.
Who says so?
We have got a witness.
Who is your witness?
My son here, Carter.
You saw Chief Blue Cloud murder Jeremy Morgan. Well, Carter?
Speak the truth, son. Speak the truth.
Yes.
Is he being charged with murder? Well, do you charge him, Carter?
Say yes.
I'm asking Carter.
Yes.
So that settles that. Now, why don't we just shoot him?
You'll have to shoot me first.
Now, Tom Jefferson...
That's how it is, gentlemen. We will have the law here. You will also have to shoot me. So, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Hayton, Mr. Wolverton, the rest of you, is that what you're willing to do? Shoot me?
Tom, we're entitled to justice.
Justice can only be dispensed in a court of law.
You mean have a trial for an Indian? You know they're only a waste of time.
I intend to enforce the law. Now, how will you gentlemen have it?
Well, there's no real difference. Instead of shooting him now, we can hang him later. And so, you say, you followed Mr. Morgan all the way to the Shawnee village?
Yes, sir.
And you saw him enter Blue Cloud's lodge?
Yes, sir.
And you heard them quarrel?
Yes, sir.
And then you saw Mr. Morgan leave the tent, move into the forest, and then you heard a shot.
I did.
Now, describe what you saw.
Well, I turned around, and there was Jeremy Morgan falling down dead, and Chief Blue Cloud was standing over him with a smoking musket.
Are you sure it was Blue Cloud?
Yeah, I'm positive.
How? Why? What makes you so sure?
Because I could see his splendid scarlet robe.
The robe that we found in his lodge?
Yes, sir, the very same.
Your witness, Mr. Jefferson.
Well, not every witness is fortunate to have his own father appointed public prosecutor. I must, however, ask some questions that may not have occurred to him. Why did you follow Mr. Morgan into the woods?
Well...
Isn't it true that you intended to kill him?
Well...
You must answer. Isn't it true that he escorted Miss Louisa Henderson to a party at my house? There, you two got into a fight. Didn't you threaten to shoot him?
Yes, sir.
Good. And when you followed him into the woods, isn't it true that you were carrying a musket?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Well,
Did you intend to kill him? You armed yourself for that purpose, and now, when the deed is done, isn't it true that you are trying to place the blame on Chief Blue Cloud's shoulders?
I object.
Your Honor, let him answer the question.
Go ahead, son. Answer him. Tell him it isn't so.
Without prompting. Isn't it true you want Blue Cloud to hang for your crime?
I didn't kill him. I didn't kill him!
Blue Cloud, you are accused of murder. Tell us, are you or are you not guilty?
I am innocent.
Gentlemen, I believe him. Don't lose courage, Blue Cloud. The gods will not permit justice to be mocked.
Red hair. The gods do not permit justice to be mocked, but they allow it to be tested.
I shall see you in the morning.
Yes, the morning. It shall be my last morning.
You must never give up hope.
I cannot give up what I have never had.
No, we can do more.
Oh, come in, Mr. Jefferson. My father isn't home.
Has he left for the courthouse?
Yes, sir. He likes to go early.
I thought perhaps you might like to walk down there with me.
Well, sir, should we be seen together?
Why not?
Oh, we're on opposite sides.
I'm still your friend, Carter. Well, shall we have our stroll?
Yes, sir. I was just leaving.
So, you insist you didn't kill Jeremy?
Please, sir, we've already been through all that.
I know. I also know it's a lie.
Mr. Jefferson, I must ask you to let me alone.
Oh, I'll let you alone. And I'm even sure your conscience will let you alone.
I am not listening to any more you're saying.
Yes, your conscience died a long time ago. And do you know who killed it? You did. You, Carter.
Well, what are you talking about?
A man's conscience is what makes him live a man's life. But you're not a man. You're a creature. You're a pathetic, crawling creature of your father.
Sir, you have no right to insult my father.
No one may be insulted by the truth. You're his creature. You don't think for yourself, act for yourself, live for yourself. Why? Why do you tolerate it?
Because I'm nobody. I'm nothing. I don't know anything. I can't do anything. I'm stupid.
Who says so?
My father. And all I have is the prospect of inheriting his estate when he dies.
You'll have worked for it.
Everybody knows I'm a fool.
That's not true.
Louisa. Why do you think she even looked at me? She knows I'll be rich one day. It's
not true. There's nothing wrong with you.
Please, Mr. Jefferson.
Now, look, you have to stand up to your father. You have to let him know you're a man.
I will. From now on, I will.
No. You have to stand up to him now. Tell the truth.
But I'll die.
Possibly, but if you don't tell the truth, you'll surely die. What life can be left you, huh? You'll spend the rest of your days even deeper within your father's shadow.
Mr. Jefferson, what do you want me to do?
Take the stand. Tell the truth.
No. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Well, Mr. Jefferson, you may as well go home and get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, for sure, the trial has to end.
Tomorrow, for sure.
People keep wondering how you managed to keep it going even this long. The jury was ready with its verdict at the end of the first day.
The jury was ready before the trial even started.
Well, it's open and shut. I mean, I wish it wasn't, but it's open and shut.
Yes. Carter follows Jeremy into the woods, sees him enter Blue Cloud's teepee, hears sounds of a quarrel.
Sees Jeremy leave the teepee, re-enter the woods, and then sees and hears Blue Cloud shoot him.
Wait, just... He says he heard them quarrel.
You have something, Mr. Jefferson?
You say they quarreled.
Yes, sir.
In which language?
Well, must have been Shawnee.
Do you speak Shawnee?
No, sir.
Do you understand it?
No, sir.
Well, then how do you know they quarreled? Please answer the question.
One need not know the language to know there is a quarrel.
Your Honor, I must insist that the witness answer.
Well, I could tell. You could actually hear the anger in the voices.
Your Honor, Mr. Jefferson clearly has exhausted his resources. He has no more evidence. He keeps going over the same ground.
Mr. Jefferson, have you any more evidence?
Well, Your Honor...
I must ask you then to bring your case to a conclusion.
Your Honor, I do have further evidence.
Then you may bring it here.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, but I cannot bring it here.
Then how may we evaluate it?
We must go to where it exists.
If it exists?
It does exist, but only at night.
I'm afraid I cannot follow, Mr. Jefferson.
Your Honor, the evidence exists at the scene of the crime, and since it cannot be moved from its place, we must attend it there.
Your Honor, this is just another scheme on the part of...
A man's life is at stake.
What do you propose, Mr. Jefferson?
Well, the murder was committed at 10 in the evening. At 10 this evening, I suggest we all assemble at the place where it occurred. Where were you standing, Carter?
Behind this tree.
Well, would you place yourself there, if you please?
This is absolutely ridiculous.
Carter, how far down the path was Jeremy?
About 25 yards.
Sheriff, would you pace off 25 yards? Take the prisoner with you.
All right, Mr. Jefferson.
Very well. Your Honor, gentlemen, here is the scene as it existed on the night of the murder. We are all standing in a line with Carter. We all hear a shot. Fire in the air, Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
We all turn to look. We see Jeremy fall to the ground. Sheriff, fall to the ground, please. Now, we all see a figure standing there in the darkness. It is not easy to make out the face.
He didn't have to see the face. He recognized the red cloak.
Your Honor, gentlemen of the jury, which one of you has supernatural eyesight? Which one of you would swear on the Holy Bible that the cloak is brilliant scarlet, as Carter testified? Which one of you is possessed of the ability to distinguish color in the dark?
It's a trick, Your Honor.
Carter McAllister lied about the cloak. Therefore, he did not identify Blue Cloud. Therefore, we must now consider his motive.
Don't you ever say a word, boy.
No, I will. I'm tired of lying.
Be quiet.
I killed him. I killed Jeremy Morgan. But God have mercy on my soul.
Your Honor, the defense rests.
Well, they didn't hang him. It was a crime of passion, and our forefathers were men who understood passions. He was sentenced to hard labor and later paroled to join a regiment of Virginia cavalry. His life had a purpose, and his death had a meaning, because he fell during the end of the war in the skirmishing about Yorktown, and the people never forgot him, or Blue Cloud, or the Thomas Jefferson defense. I shall return in a moment.
This is Beverly Sills. Did you know that of all the arts, music is the only one in which a blind person can participate freely in spite of blindness? However, even in music, the blind need special help in order to stand on an equal footing with the sighted. The Lewis Braille Foundation for Blind Musicians works to promote the interests of the blind in the field of music. The foundation, a national non-profit organization, urgently needs your financial help. The services of the Lewis Braille Foundation are available to any blind person and provide auditions, evaluations and counseling, scholarship aid, paid engagements for qualified musicians, and transcription of music into Braille. The foundation depends solely on the public for its support. Send your tax-deductible gifts to the Lewis Braille Foundation, 112 East 19th Street, New York, 10003. If you know a musically gifted blind person who needs help, please contact the Lewis Braille Foundation at area code 212-982-7290.
We talk about Jefferson and Washington and Adams and the others, usually as gods, at least as supermen. Yet, they were all possessed of the usual human frailties. How difficult it must have been for them to be ahead of the ideas of their times, to lead the fight for freedom among a people who also believed in slavery. It was no simple task. Yet it must be a relief to discover that for all their undisputed greatness, our founding fathers were people so very like ourselves, just as contradictory, just as stubborn, just as unpredictable. Our cast included Paul Hecht, Leon Janney, Russell Horton, Jada Rowland, and Bob Caliban. The entire production was under the direction of Himan Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
How did you get that little statue to look like General Grant?
I don't know. I just bought a little statue of a horseman dressed like a Union Army general. And after a while, it began to look like Grant.
What are you telling me?
The truth. And look at the other officers. Now compare them with their pictures on the wall. That's Beauregard. And that's Buell. And Bragg. And Johnson. And Wallace.
That's fantastic. How did you get these made up?
I just bought tin soldiers in Civil War uniforms. And after a while...
Wait a minute. This one here. Who's that?
Oh, that's Major Morrissey, commanding officer of Morrissey's Rifles.
That's uncanny.
What's uncanny?
This tin soldier. It looks exactly like you.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Mystery Theater.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall, pilot of this shadowy craft which wends its mysterious way through the uncharted depths of your very own imagination. They were giants, those founding fathers of ours. Not only were they superb statesmen and soldiers, they were men of many spectacular achievements. In these modern times, when so many of us are confined to our own particular calling, it's hard to conceive of men who could turn a talented hand to anything that needed doing. Consider Benjamin Franklin now. He was a writer, a publisher, a philosopher, a diplomat, an inventor, a scientist, and, according to the French, who should know something about it, he was a formidable lover. So, you shouldn't be too surprised to discover that Ben Franklin was also a detective.
Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin.
Who are you?
I'm Captain William Clemens.
Clemens died 20 years ago.
I'm his ghost.
You can't be his ghost.
Why do you say that?
Because everything that was Will Clemens, his body, his soul, are burning in the eternal fires of hell.
I am the ghost of William Clemens.
Why have you come here?
To kill Ben Franklin.
Why?
You know why. You damned impertinent, interfering publisher of scandal and lies.
I only print the truth.
From now on, you can print it in hell.
mystery drama, The Benjamin Franklin Murder Case, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dann and stars Paul Hecht. The year is 1750, and things are relatively quiet in the American colonies. So far, no one is seriously advocating rebellion. And even so, Sarah Clemens would pay no heed to talk of rebellion. Sarah Clemens is a young lady who has troubles enough of her own. We're in the city of Philadelphia. We say city because we know Philadelphia as a city. But back in 1750, the only settled place in all of North America that could legitimately claim to be a city would be Mexico City. Well, getting back to Sarah Clemens and her problems, the most pressing one is concerned with, don't laugh, ghosts.
Young woman.
Please.
I say, young woman, I cannot call you a young lady. You will come to a bad end.
But, sir.
But me no sirs. Oh, you are a cool one, a sly one. But those innocent-looking eyes don't take in aimless Edward Chiver. No, they don't.
Sir, what are you talking about?
Oh, you stand there bold as brass, cool as ice, and you say, what am I talking about? Young woman, you belong in the theater. You do. You not only have the talent, but you've got the morals of an actress.
Sir, I will not permit you to insult me in my own parlor.
You almost sold me this house.
Almost? I thought we had an agreement.
I'm breaking that agreement.
But why?
No, stop it. Stop blinking them innocent eyes and asking why.
But I am asking. Why?
Because the Clemens house is a haunted house.
Did I hear you correctly?
The Clemens house is a haunted house. That's what everyone in town is saying.
Oh, tavern loafers.
Aha. So you do admit people are talking about
People,
it.
drunkards, idlers, vagrants. Anytime a house stands empty, ridiculous rumors. What, the Clemens house is the finest dwelling in the province of Pennsylvania.
Then why don't you live there? Why do you want to sell it?
Oh, Mr. Chiver, I've already discussed this entire matter. I cannot afford to maintain so large a place.
You can't. Why can't you?
I don't need all those rooms. It requires help, and I can't afford servants.
You could buy slaves.
Mr. Chiver.
Mr. Chiver, what?
It would violate every one of my moral, ethical, and religious principles to own the body and soul of another human being.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Just tell me, sir. What affair is it of yours?
You say you can't afford servants and you won't have slaves. But you could afford servants if you was to turn the place into a tavern.
Never.
It's a good, respectable trade, and you're pretty enough wench to attract the business.
Sir, this impertinence If you do not wish to purchase the property, I'm sure there are plenty of others.
How long you been trying to sell the house? If it's such a bargain, how come it ain't been snapped up?
Because...
No, ma'am, it won't do. The house is haunted.
Very well, sir. Have it your way.
Aha! Then you admit it.
I admit only this, Mr. Chiver. I was wrong about you. When you first inquired about the house, I said to myself, here is a man of judgment. Here is a shrewd and sensible man of the world. Here is probably the keenest man of business in the entire province of Maryland.
Delaware.
As you will. But what do I discover on closer examination? A timid, irresolute waverer. You are losing the opportunity of a lifetime.
To buy a haunted house.
How can the house be haunted? Haunted by what?
Ghosts.
Oh, you, a hard-headed, practical, no-nonsense gentleman of affairs, a member of your provincial House of Delegates. You believe in ghosts?
Well,
be kind enough to leave the premises at once. Sir, you are a fraud.
Now, Miss Clemens,
oh,
I won't...
There may be rumors spread by stupid gossipers that the Clemens house is haunted. And this has made buyers scarce and reduced the price. But shouldn't you, as a shrewd trader, profit from my distress?
Now, miss, you have no right to accuse me of...
Go on, take unfair advantage of me.
Well, I'll think about it.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Richard.
I knocked, but no one heard me.
Mr. Chiver and I are transacting some business.
So I just walked in.
Mr. Chiver, may I present my cousin, Mr. Richard Laporte?
Your servant, sir.
Howdy.
Richard,
Mr. Chiver is going to buy the Clemens house.
Well, now,
He
I
intends
never...
to make a tavern of it.
No, see here, I didn't say that...
And why not?
Well, that would be... It would be the sacrilege. Why, Mr. William Penn himself slept in the blue bedroom
Oh,
when...
come, Richard. You and I spoke about this many times, and I thought I'd settled it.
But a tavern?
But of course. Shouldn't the common folk also have a beautiful place?
I ain't even said I'm gonna buy, much less make a tavern.
Oh, of course you will, Mr. Chiver.
My dear Sarah, a tavern...
Now, Richard, I thought you shared my belief that no person should own a house that exceeds his needs for shelter. When we marry, this place which my mother left me will suffice for us.
Just hold on while I ask this young fellow here a question. Mr.
Laporte.
Laporte, I want you to look me square in the eye and say yes or no. Is the old Clemens house haunted?
Yes.
Well, Miss Clemens, see?
Richard is an incurable romantic.
You say the house is haunted, young fella?
Yes, it is haunted. It's haunted by demons of the past.
Oh, nonsense, Richard.
Haunted by memories, haunted by the ghosts of Clemens as long dead.
Well, all I can say to you, Miss Clemens, is good day.
Wait.
What for? Here, this young man, your own intended, admits, confesses...
Oh, it's nonsense.
And he ain't no tavern vagabond neither, as far as I can
But
see.
there are no ghosts.
That ain't what Mr. Laporte says.
Of course, there are ghosts. That's because the past never dies.
Miss Clemens, how can you say there are no ghosts when this man, who's to become your lord and master...
Oh, no. That is not the relationship we envisage, is it, Richard?
Oh, no, each of us will have an equal voice.
Son, you're asking for more trouble than you can handle. But don't get me off the subject.
What is the subject, sir?
Ghosts. Mr. Laporte says there are ghosts in that house.
Richard is only using a figure of speech. He doesn't mean there are actual ghosts.
But I do.
And I say good day to you both.
Mr. Chiver...
He's right, my dear.
Oh, Rich.
You sounded so medieval.
The ghosts of the Clemenses, you believe in them, too. And that's why you want to sell the house. You're ashamed of them.
What are you trying to say?
You are ashamed of the fact that the first William Clemens was a pirate and slave.
Oh, that's just malicious rumor.
No, my dear, it's an unfortunate fact. The family fortune was founded on blood. You were a child growing up in that house. You knew it. You were ashamed.
Richard, I shall become extremely angry.
I was a child, too. The poor relation invited to play. And my eyes were open. I saw everything.
Please, Richard.
We both talked about it constantly. Death. Murder. How frightened we were of the old man. The ghost of the old man. The murderer. The pirate.
Richard, those were... childhood fancies, nothing more. Nothing more. Ghosts cannot exist.
What was that question again, sir?
Well, what I asked, Mr. Franklin, was, do you believe in ghosts?
Of course, Mr. Chiver.
You do?
Certainly, sir. All of us are ghosts. Inside each of us are the ghosts of dead ideas.
You know the old Clemens house?
Yes, I do.
Now, the girl wants to sell. I can buy it cheap. A bargain.
Do you need advice to take advantage of a bargain?
It might not be a bargain.
Uh-huh.
If it's haunted.
Oh.
Can a house be haunted?
Mr. Chiver, I cannot give you that answer, but I can suggest how you might find one.
Now you're talking.
Go up to the house. When you want to learn something, investigate for yourself.
Well, you don't have to be smart to think of that.
But the fact is, you didn't think of it.
Oh.
What I have suggested is something new among natural philosophers. It is called the scientific method.
But that's nothing but old-fashioned horse sense.
Exactly, Mr. Chiver. Exactly.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going up there and see for myself. What's that? What could it be? The wind. The wind down the chimney. Huh? Hey! There's somebody in here. Who's here? Show yourself. Whoever you are, show yourself.
Dead man tell no tales.
I'm not afraid of you. Who are you? Show yourself. That voice. It's coming from the chimney. No, it's coming from the wall. It's coming from all over. Somebody's in here with me. Somebody. Well, I ain't scared. Listen, even if you are a ghost, I'm going to buy the house and burn it down and build a better one. I ain't scared. No. Who's here? Who are you? Oh, it's a sailor. Get away from me. Get away. Don't. Who are you? What do you want? Oh, you're choking me. Please. Stop.
The moonlight pouring in through the parlor window of the old Clemens mansion reveals a body lying on the floor. Sightless eyes staring with terror. Face contorted with agony. But at least the efficacy of the scientific method has once again been affirmed. Is there such a thing as a ghost? Amos Chiver has found out. The hard way. You have some things to find out also, when I return shortly with Act 2. In the years to come, Mr. Benjamin Franklin of Philadelphia will find plenty of things to make him angry. The arrogance of the British, the short-sightedness of his fellow Americans, the stubbornness of the French, and the haughtiness of the Spanish. But right now, he is as furious as he will ever be. A man named Chiver solicited his advice, followed it, and was killed, or at least is dead, because he did so. So right now, on this late summer morning in the autumn of 1750, we find our Mr. Franklin in a rare mood indeed.
I only want you to tell me, Doctor, was he murdered? Yes, well, that doesn't answer the question.
Well, he has some redness about the throat.
Was he strangled?
He might have been. But I see no finger marks.
Well, could the killer have worn gloves?
Could the killer have worn gloves? We have yet to ascertain whether or not there was a killer. Therefore, the question cannot be answered in the form that it was couched.
If he wasn't strangled, what was the cause of death?
He also has a bruise on his head.
Was he struck?
He may have been. On the other hand, he may have hit his head against some sharp object when he fell to the floor.
Dr. Benson, do you ever commit yourself?
He may have died of fright.
Fright?
I have never seen such terror on the face of a corpse.
So can a man die of fright?
Some doctors say yes. Some say no. May I ask your interest in the case, Mr. Franklin?
The dead gentleman and I have a mutual friend. Therefore, I am collecting his effects and sending them down to his home in Wilmington.
Oh, you may want this along with his other possession, Mr. Franklin.
What is it?
It seems to be a gold button of some kind.
Where did you find it?
It was clutched in his hand. Actually, he was holding it so tightly I had to pry his fingers apart.
Why didn't you tell me this before?
Is it significant?
A button. You can see it's been torn from a coat. Probably he was struggling with his assailant, and in the fight...
Now that is if there was an assailant.
Doctor, in every man's life, there comes a time when finally he must commit himself.
That may be true. On the other hand...
Thank you, Doctor. Now, Sarah, I want you to look at this button.
How could that poor man have died in the house?
Obviously, the murderous ghost
The
of
button, Sarah.
Rich, look.
You recognize it?
It's the kind of button that old Captain William Clemens wore.
William Clemens, who built this house?
This gold button with the star and the anchor. It was on all his uniforms.
Well, then it was the ghost of William Clemens.
No.
What do you say to that, Mr. Franklin?
I say we have a problem. Assume it was a ghost. Is a ghost substantial?
How can a ghost be substantial?
If he were substantial, he couldn't be a ghost.
Then why would his clothes be substantial? No, Mr. Chivers was engaged in combat, mortal combat.
With whom?
Now, I say a man followed Mr. Chiver to the house or waited for him there and killed him. I say a man because it's hard to conceive of a woman strong enough.
Mr. Franklin, it was Captain Clemens' ghost. The button proves it.
Not conclusively. Captain Clemens wasn't a pirate.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Franklin.
That is, not a pirate in name. He was a privateer. He had the Queen's permission to prey upon French, Spanish, and Dutch merchant ships. He fancied himself a naval officer. His men wore uniforms. The higher ranks all had buttons, just like that one. As a matter of fact, I know another man in this town who once wore a navy coat. I remember this button. I was just a youngster, but I do remember this button.
If it ain't Mr. Franklin.
Good day, Abner.
To what do I owe the honor?
I've come here to see if I can arrange to have you hanged.
Oh? What did I do?
What did you do? What haven't you done, you scoundrel? You sold whiskey and guns to the Indians. You bought stolen merchandise from pirates.
But none of it proved.
But all of it true.
The commandment warns us against the bearing of false witness.
Here we have the devil quoting scripture.
Why not? The devil can read. Now, how do you hope to hang me?
For the murder of Amos Chiver.
You mean the poor fellow from Wilmington?
Yes, Abner, the poor fellow from Wilmington.
Oh, hadn't you heard he was killed by a ghost? Everyone knows the Clemens house is haunted.
No, he wasn't killed by a ghost.
No. Who did it?
I think you did it, Abner.
Oh, why would I want to kill the man I didn't even know him?
And you didn't want to get to know him either.
You're a hard man to follow, Mr. Franklin. But I know you always wind up someplace, so I'll listen.
Thank you. You don't like competition, Abner. You've been known to run people who threatened your business out of town.
Well, that's one way to look at it. Another way would be to say I showed them where opportunities were greater elsewhere.
Amos Chiver was going to buy the Clemens place just up the street from here and turn it into a tavern.
And for that, I killed him?
You took advantage of Clemens' house reputation, hid there in your old Navy coat, and tried to scare him.
I did?
But I suppose he didn't scare. There was a fight. You killed him.
You write good stories in your paper, Mr. Franklin, but if you write this one, you got to prove it.
I've got the proof right here. This button.
What button?
You wore this button when you served with Captain Clemens as a privateer.
Well, how did you... Where did you get that button?
Try to guess where this button was found. Now, you're a man of lively imagination. Think.
Where did you get that button?
This button, Abner, was found clutched in the dead man's hand.
Yeah, but it can't be.
It was.
I haven't worn that coat. I haven't even seen that coat. It's more than 30 years.
Here comes the constable. What have you there, Mr. Partridge?
I've been to the back of this house like you said, Mr. Franklin.
You had no right to search my house.
The constable obtained a warrant.
And here's the coat.
Yes, indeed. Your old blue naval officer's coat.
Some of them buttons are missing, Mr. Franklin. But the ones that are still on here are just like the one you got in your hand.
I tell you, I was here all last night. I didn't set foot out of this tavern. Why, Constable, you were here yourself.
So I was. Till 10 o'clock.
And after 10 o'clock, who can vouch for you, Abner?
Well, I was with
Yes?
Well, I spent the rest of the night with a lady.
Who?
Well, being a gentleman, how can I possibly... You're a man of the world, Mr. Franklin. You appreciate my position.
Well, it is a gentleman's duty to die before permitting a lady's name to be sullied. Or so I've been led to understand.
Well, I'm not going to die for nobody. I was with... Oh, hang it, Mr. Franklin.
Yes, indeed, Abner. Hanging seems to be the order of the day.
I'm a married man. What's my wife going to say?
Chivalry is dead, Abner.
All right. I was with Charity Townsend.
Charity Townsend, aptly named. I doubt we have a lady in town more generous with her favors.
Abner, who's going to take the word of Charity Townsend?
Yeah, but it's true. You can ask her. You can't... Oh, my Lord, what's my wife going to say?
You'll have to come along with me, Abner. Mr. Franklin, can I have that button to go with this coat as evidence?
Now, Charity, are you telling the truth?
Oh, yes, Mr. Franklin. I can't lie. I mean, that's the source of my problems. I just can't lie.
You were with Abner all of last night.
Well, I could lie, you see, and save my reputation. But my dear old dad, he's in heaven right now. He said to me, girl, never tell a lie. And you know why? Folks aren't going to believe you anyhow, so you might as well be hanged for telling the truth.
Yes, well, about Abner.
Oh, I was, feeling a bit poorly last evening, so I thought a glass of wine might suit me. And after having a few, Abner says to me, Charity, you want to come to the back of the house? What for, I asks, and he says, I got some trophies I took when I was serving in the Navy. Well, I have a weakness for sailors' trophies, so I says, all right. But what's your wife going to say to me? I come into a private room, and he says, never fear, she'll be none the wiser. She's visiting her sister across the river in Camden Town.
So, you went with him?
Oh, but I'm telling you, everything was proper. We just sat and talked. Oh, he tells such stories. And before I knew it, the sun had come up.
A most unusual evening.
Oh, yes.
And so you claim you were with Abner all of last night?
Well, I wish I could lie, but you see, I can't. Not even to save my reputation.
Yes, sir, Mr. Franklin. Judge Herkimer spoke with me an hour ago. He wants to hold the trial tomorrow.
Constable, may I see that coat and that button again?
Sure. I got them right here on the table. Look at them all you like.
Oh, thank you.
It's plain as day. That's the exact same button as the others on that coat. And there's 3 of them missing. This could be any one of them. Judge Herkimer says we might just as well prepare the scaffold now.
Before the trial?
Well, you know the judge, Mr. Franklin. He figures if a man ain't guilty, he wouldn't be in the prisoner's box in the first place.
Yes, and Charity's testimony?
Now, Mr. Franklin, you know what that's worth.
You suppose I might see Abner?
Can't imagine why, but you're welcome. And let me hold on to this coat and button for just a moment.
Well, Mr. Franklin, I guess you were right. You said you'd arranged to have me hung, and you've done it.
You think so?
You know, in my lifetime, I've done 100 things that called for hanging, but I always cheated the rope. And now I'm about to swing for something I never done.
I know. I can even prove it.
You can.
Abner, I have a problem. A most serious moral and religious problem.
Now, look here, Mr. Franklin. If you know I'm innocent...
Let us say you are innocent in particular, but guilty in general.
Yeah, but if you know I didn't kill Chiver, why let me swing for it?
I must search my conscience. Examine my soul, as it were. You are an engaging but a thoroughgoing scoundrel. You are responsible in one way or another for the death of hundreds of people.
Well, scores would be more truthful.
Yes. Even now, some poor farmer on the fringes of the Ohio Territory could be murdered by an Indian using a musket that was purchased from you.
Well, that can't be proved.
Justice must be served.
Yeah, but that ain't justice.
Well, if it's just for you to go free when you're guilty, why is it unjust for you to hang when you're innocent? Now, come, Abner, you can't have it both ways.
Oh, Mr. Franklin, please. Think the commandments. Thou shalt not lie. Thou shalt not bear false witness.
Oh, it's out of my hands, Abner. At this moment, within my soul, a battle is being fought for your life and freedom. Both sides are marshaling potent and convincing arguments. Shall you live? Shall you die? I must wait for the answer to be revealed to me.
And there he is, Abner, the old pirate, the old smuggler. Ironically, he faces the rope for a crime he didn't commit, according to Ben Franklin. But what sort of game is Ben playing? Perhaps his own words might answer the question. No, I am not amused by games of chance or even skill. For the most fascinating game of all is the game of life. The game continues when I return shortly with Act 3. Retribution. Sooner or later, it overtakes us all. If not for the wrongs we have actually done, then perhaps for the wrong another has committed in our name. But one way or another, we pay the bill. Ben Franklin can prove that Abner didn't kill Amos Chiver. But why bother? Abner has killed enough people during his lifetime. It isn't as if the noose were being drawn around the neck of an innocent man.
You say you can prove I'm innocent, Ben? How?
Well, Charity claims you were with her all evening.
Charity? Well, who'd believe a woman like her?
Who? Tell me, Abner, if you were sitting on the jury, would you believe Charity?
Well, not if she swore on every Bible in Pennsylvania.
Interesting. And yet, in this case, you know she's telling the truth.
Well, but why do you say she's telling the truth?
Why should she lie? What does she gain by it?
Well, I could have paid her.
Yes, but you didn't. Because I know you didn't kill Chiver.
How? How do you know?
First, I have a little agreement here for you to sign. Here, read it.
I, Abner Merritt, do hereby agree to give to the Reverend Peter Quincy the sum of £350. What for?
The Reverend Quincy is the pastor in the village of Olmsted, which was destroyed in an Indian raid last week. The money will be used for rebuilding homes.
But
you supplied the Indians with weapons and the powder.
Oh, but I didn't.
Not directly, perhaps, but you did sell the muskets to unscrupulous traders. Read on.
The sum of £500 to Mr. Henry Hewitt, director of the Children's Orphanage. Well, I ain't got that much money.
Raise it.
Oh, but
Read on.
You'll make a poor man out of me.
Poor, but happy. Poor in wealth and worldly goods, perhaps, but rich in the love of your fellow man.
Ah, no, I'll sign no such paper.
All right, then hang.
This is blackmail, you know.
Perhaps.
Well, how do I know you? How do I know you'll keep your bargain? How do I know you can prove that I'm innocent?
Now, that is an interesting speculation. But we waste each other's time. I have in my bag here a pen and a bottle of ink. May I please have your signature?
Oh, this is robbery. It's worse than piracy on the high seas.
And you should know.
All right. Where do I sign it?
On the bottom. Uh-huh. Splendid. That's it. See, you now have an opportunity to create a new reputation for yourself. Till now, you have been reviled as a scoundrel. In the future, you shall be admired as a saint. Fortunate Abner.
Yeah, but the proof. The proof you promised.
Ah, yes, the proof. Mr. Partridge? Mr. Partridge?
What's up?
I'm afraid we'll have to release Abner.
Release? Why? Ain't he guilty?
No, sir. Please, come in here, sir. And leave the cell door open, Constable. Abner will be leaving.
But the button and the coat...
Precisely. They prove his innocence.
But any fool can see that button is exactly the same as the buttons that are on that coat. You have to admit that.
I do.
Then what do you do?
It is exactly the same kind of button, but it was not fastened to that coat. And if it was not fastened to that coat, it could not have been pulled off that coat.
But you can see that it's
let's
the button
really look at what's to be seen. What color is the coat?
Oh, any fool can see it's blue.
Now, since the button was obviously pulled away or torn away during a struggle, there is a small shred of material clinging to it. What color is this material?
Well,
it's red. Captain's red. While Abner's coat is lieutenant's blue.
I should have seen it myself. I could have saved a fortune.
What's he saying, Mr. Franklin?
The poor man's so happy to be vindicated, he's delirious with joy.
But if Abner didn't kill Mr. Chiver, who did?
It should be obvious to everybody. The ghost. The ghost of Captain Clemens.
But, Mr. Franklin, isn't that impossible?
We should never try to define the impossible, my dear. We searched the house thoroughly,
And we found absolutely nothing?
You recognize the button as belonging to Captain Clemens as being part of his uniform. This means you were familiar with that uniform.
Oh, yes, sir. His uniform, his hats, his swords, they were all left hanging in his room, just as when he was alive. I remember we children used to spend hours up there.
So why didn't we find the uniform coat just before, when we searched the house?
Because the ghost is wearing it.
Oh, really, Richard?
Well, Richard's opinion is as good as anyone.
You mean you actually believe that a ghost could be up in
yes. And now our problem is to find out who the ghost is.
But how can we do that?
He'll be easy to recognize.
Mr. Franklin, am I hearing you correctly?
We shall recognize the ghost because, you see, he is branded.
How can a ghost
He has committed murder, this ghost, and therefore he carries the murderer's mark.
What mark?
All murderers carry a mark which clearly proclaims them as killers.
But I've seen murderers. I haven't seen any identifying...
It's the brand of Cain. Sometimes it's visible on Earth, sometimes not.
Mr. Franklin, are you feeling quite all right?
Never better. Well, we must clear the place of its ghostly reputation, or else you shall never sell it. I think I'll go there myself this evening.
But that ghost, it's a murderer. Listen to me. I talk as if I believe it.
Well, why don't you believe it? The ghost has already committed murder.
I suppose I'll have to take my chances.
But you mustn't go alone. Richard, you go...
No purpose in my going. What shall I discover? That there's a ghost? I already believe it.
Well, somebody should go with Mr. Franklin.
Oh, no. When a man goes seeking a wife or searching for a ghost, he travels faster when he travels alone. Now, no one is to mention the fact that I'm to visit the Clemens house this evening.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we three shall keep the secret.
Well, you know the saying. 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead.
Why can't we walk in the front door, Mr. Franklin?
Keep your voice low, Abner. Now, slide the window up. Up. That's it. Now, let's climb inside.
Why are we going in like thieves?
Because I am hoping the ghost will enter by the front door. Listen.
I don't hear nothing.
Well, to the front room. Hurry. Shine that lantern.
There's nobody here, Mr. Franklin. Uh-oh.
Listen. Listen. Where's it coming from?
Hey. That don't sound like a human voice. It's Captain Clemens. The old man himself. It's the captain. It's the ghost of the captain.
Well, where's it coming from, Abner?
It's the captain.
Shh. It's coming from the fireplace.
Huh? Yeah, that's the captain. That's how he talks. I'm getting out of here.
No, wait.
It's the captain. He said death couldn't keep him away. He'd come back. That's what he said.
Where is that voice coming from?
It ain't human. It's coming from everywhere. I don't know about you, but I'm going.
You're right, Abner. It is time we were leaving.
I'll never sell the house now. It's all over town. Abner's been telling everyone how the ghosts are all over the place. Thank you, Mr. Franklin.
Sarah, Mr. Franklin was only trying to help. Besides, what could he do? After all, how can a human being fight a ghost? Now, sir, do you believe the ghost of Captain Clemens haunts the house?
Richard, why do you object to Sarah's selling the Clemens house?
Well, it's just that it's haunted.
It isn't because you wanted to own it yourself one day?
Well, how could I ever own it?
You will at least share in the ownership when you marry Sarah.
Well, why would I want to own it?
Mr. Franklin, Richard was always unhappy there.
I know. That's why he wishes to own it. Richard was the poor, despised cousin who was patronized by the Clemenses. That's true, isn't it?
They were very kind to me.
The bread of charity is bitter when it is offered by the hand of arrogance. And so you dreamed, didn't you, of one day walking through that house, not as a petitioner, but as a master.
Yes. Yes, it's human to feel that way.
Yes, Richard. Why are you wearing a glove?
I have an infection from a poisonous plant.
So, you have discouraged Sarah from selling.
But he never said to me, don't sell.
He didn't have to. He spread the rumors that the house is haunted.
Well, everyone in Philadelphia knows.
You are the one, Richard, who keeps making sure that the reputation for the house being haunted is kept fresh and
Sir,
green.
I cannot permit you to insult my fiancé.
I thought you were my friend, Mr. Franklin.
I am, Richard. And I am no fair-weather friend either. I shall stand by you as a friend, even though you are to be tried for murder.
Murder? Mr. Franklin!
Ask him, Sarah, ask him.
I deny it.
How can you deny it? How can you deny the brand of Cain? You killed Amos Chiver because he must have recognized you, and you knew I was going to be at the house last night.
Richard, he couldn't kill anybody. He's so timid.
You wanted to scare me, too. And your voice, it sounded ghostly, and it seemed to come from everywhere. It's probably because there are secret passages in that house.
For accusing Richard of murder.
And as a child, you discovered those passages. Yes, it was well done. And you know where the red coat is. And shall it show a missing button?
But you can't prove that Richard did it.
Richard, I defy you to take that glove off your hand and show us the mark of Cain that covers your palm.
Richard?
Yes. Yes, it's the mark of Cain. Here, look. Look, I'm branded.
That great black mark.
It won't wash off. It won't rub off. I'm marked.
Oh, Richard.
No, don't come near me, Sarah. I'm unworthy.
Oh, why, Richard? Why?
He knows why. He knows why. It was the bitter bread of charity.
Oh, Richard.
No, don't weep for me. I'm unworthy. I wear the mark of Cain.
I'm sorry, Richard.
I will now walk down to the jail and hand myself over to Constable Partridge.
Let me come with you.
No. I must be alone. From now on, I have the mark.
Richard.
Yes. The mark.
The mark? That's impossible. I saw it with my own eyes.
Yes.
It's supernatural.
Not exactly.
Not exactly. Oh, sir, now what?
Well, if we assume that there cannot be ghosts, we must assume that someone human was playing the part. Logical?
Yes?
That someone human would have to get into the house in order to scare visitors. Only 3 of us knew I would be going there last night. You, and I, and Richard.
Yes?
Earlier in the evening, I smeared the doorknob with some nitrate of silver.
Nitrate of silver?
Yes, it is used in making mirrors. And when it touches the skin, it turns black, and it cannot be washed off or removed in any way until new skin grows.
That's black magic.
That's natural science. And our poor Richard entered the house through the front door, turned the knob, and thus his hand acquired the mark of Cain.
The mark of Cain. It exists on every murderer. The problem is to make it visible. For that, however, you need men of perception. Men like Benjamin Franklin. Well, poor Richard didn't hang. He went quite mad and spent the rest of his life in an asylum. Sarah went on to marry a very timid man and kept him under her thumb. And Franklin, as you well know, went on to become a founding father of this great country. And I shall be back in just a few moments. Chemist, psychologist, detective. Before these professions were even born, Benjamin Franklin exhibited a judgment and a depth of vision that is hardly equaled today. Yes, they were giants, those men who founded the country, and what they left us is not just a legacy, but a challenge to live as they did, fearless, curious, and independent. Our cast included Paul Hecht, Marion Seldes, Stotts Cotsworth, Russell Horton, and Gil Mack. The entire production was under the direction of Himan Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.